What's up, guys? First off, I just wanted to say a happy new year to everyone. I hope everyone is safe and doing well. Welcome back to another episode of Soul Therapy, the podcast. My name is Daniel.
Daytona.
Paloma, she's back. Yay.
Yay!
Yes.
Yay! And today we will be recapping some of the biggest events that happened last year. As usual, if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast on all streaming platforms and don't forget to give us that 5-star rating. Also, for more contents, please go and follow our socials at soul_therapy. And also, please support our page on Coffee at ko-fi.com/soul therapy. Last year was a crazy year. Just
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things, occurring with, different programs, high school rapper and then Show Me the Money 10, to different artists signing to different labels. There's a lot of controversies at the same time. It
Mm-hmm.
felt like a chaotic event. Nothing felt organized. Everything just felt utterly chaotic. Everything felt like a mess. But at the end of the day, I feel like last year we got a lot of great contents, great music, I'd say. And I think overall, I felt like I was a happy camper, just being able to, you
Mm-hmm.
know, gain a lot of contents from different artists and just seeing how artists use that time, to not just self-reflect, but to improve, whether it's their rap skills or learning a new hobby, because I'm sure it's just, we're still in this pandemic and people are still trying to figure out what to do, as we
I
try to
mean,
officially come
yeah.
out of the pandemic. So it's crazy. And to me, like I think the biggest thing that happened last year, and this is just my opinion, I think it's Beenzino
Mm-hmm.
going to BANA. That
Mm.
to me, that just really sank in.
Yeah, that was a surprise. No one kind of expected that.
Yeah, it's it was like a whirlwind. It's like out of nowhere, like Benzino drops a single on SoundCloud, and
I mean,
then
it would have been better if the album actually dropped or something.
oh yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's been like it's been a year and I'm like, where is the album? Where is the
yeah,
Yeah.
album? And it's not there yet. It keeps on dropping like SoundCloud
Yeah,
singles and
exactly.
stuff and teasing people. But there's nothing concrete yet. So I'm like, I was excited obviously when he joined. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm like, there's no conclusion to the joining yet, if you know what I mean.
hmm
Yeah, like, fine. Like, you're one of the Avengers now, I guess, but, like, where's your movie kind of thing? So it was
yeah,
like,
Literally.
yeah, so that was a bit of a shame, but definitely him joining was a big thing for me. He's a creative. I know he was big on the Illionaire trio and stuff like that, but I always viewed him more of a creative soul than a money making soul.
hmm
So I think BANA ultimately suits him way better. Um,
and I think that's what makes him unique too.
yeah,
The
like
fact that he's like an artist as a whole. He's not just a musical artist, but he's an artist.
I feel like
exactly.
he's too much of an artist right now rather than like,
Yeah,
Yeah, I
being a
see what you're
musician
saying.
on that
Yeah.
give me
side.
that product is what I'm saying. Like, where's the fucking product? Like, you're holed up in like Scandinavia, like
Yeah.
doing some, I don't know, ice bath or some shit. But
I, I
I
I
need
don't know
the
what that's
fucking
gonna
album.
give. Like who's in Sweden. Obviously, there's like a lot of pop producers in Sweden.
Hmm.
So I'm not
Yeah,
like I don't know if that's the route that he's going for the album,
hmm
because I'm like Sweden. Why?
I
There's a
think
lot of good producers, but like pop producers.
I don't think it's necessarily because he's like trying to look for a particular engineer or something,
Hmm.
but I
hmm
think the in this crazy ass world that we're going through now, I think Scandinavia has a rare kind of peace to it.
Mm.
Like,
mm
it's not as hectic. Like, it's kind of a very privileged place in a sense. I don't mean this in a bad way, by the way, that
hmm
you can kind of escape from the urban settings but still
Mm.
have all like the capital or the resources around you, and that's a very big rarity these days. And I think that kind of environment is good for artists to create shit, like allowing them to like focus on their art instead of
Yeah,
getting caught up in like the modern, bullshit that we already have to go through.
the fast
Yeah.
That's,
pace.
yeah, the um kind of a lot of things but quiet at the same time, that kind of vibe.
It's crazy because to me, it just builds up the anticipation a lot more, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it just gets me a lot more excited that obviously we don't like it when albums get delayed or they take this long, especially with Benzino. It's been like, what, now 6 years, right? Since he dropped his first album. And so,
Yeah. Damn military service.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, man, it's like, I think the more patience we have, I just feel like the
Mhm.
hype is getting bigger and bigger, especially with Benzino, knowing that there's a lot on his shoulders, especially with this album and his
Yeah,
move to
exactly.
BANA, you know, and I feel like there's gonna be a lot of pressure, but I think from what I heard, or at least what the sources were putting out, especially when Hip Hop Play uploaded that little visual of Benzino, you know, working in
Yeah.
Sweden. Uh, I feel like the album is going to be there's definitely gonna be a lot of diversity. There's gonna be a lot of colors. There's gonna be a lot of aesthetics involved. But I think this album may be another artistic album, like a kind of like another artistic follow up to his
Yeah,
16
I
album.
I get it because like actually it's the 12 album that was the last one.
12. Okay.
Um because the last time a BANA artist went to Scandinavia, we got the anecdote.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
he did that in Sweden, in Scandinavia as well.
It's like
I don't
Denmark.
think it was Sweden, but I think it was Denmark.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Oh.
He has a whole documentary about it. Like we have a precedence, is what I'm saying. Like we have a precedent. Like Essence went to Denmark, made that album in like 2 weeks, came back, and
Yeah.
it was a fucking classic. So
Mm.
we have seen this kind of thing before. So I don't know if Beenzino is going to hammer out an album in 2 weeks, but he certainly isn't. But
I think that's the business model that BANA does. Like they have their
yeah,
artists finish their album really quickly, but then the release date is like
yeah,
extremely long.
I think like it might have a lot to do with like mixing and engineering shit because
Mm,
that takes a
Mm.
really long fucking time. But
of course.
well, as a fan, and not just in Beenzino's fan, but a hip hop fan in general, you want that shit to come out quickly. So, um,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
hammer out the album, please, please, just get the album out. That's all I'm saying.
Seriously.
That's all I'm asking.
I mean, talking about Bana, there was a Master
Yeah,
Who that joined this year as well, right?
yeah. I
Oh,
don't
I
know
didn't
what
know about
he's
that.
doing though.
I had
There
no idea
Yes.
is.
about
There
that.
was supposed to be an album that's coming out. The EP was supposed to be like a taster kind of thing.
Ooh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and Master Wu is also like one of the rappers that kind of notoriously known for having less work compared to his
Mm.
Yeah.
talents. So it's like drop something now. I mean, where when are your people fucking dropping? Essence is also have supposed to have dropped a mixtape,
Yeah,
Yeah.
volume
the
2.
Blanky Mun Unknown
Yeah.
versus Volume 2.
Yeah, and Unknown Versus being such a seminal mixtape in history, like a sequel
Yeah, that
to
was a
it is
crazy
naturally
mixtape.
going to
Yeah.
have a lot of hype around it. But
Mm.
again, as he admitted on Instagram, when it comes to release dates, he's just a compulsive liar. So, I mean,
Well,
this is what the man said himself. So don't blame me for saying it. But when it comes to release dates, he's a fucking liar.
That
So
that label in general is just so
liars, liars, all of them are fucking liars. Fucking liars.
it's like
I mean,
it's like
seriously though.
it's like not only liars, but it's just like I feel like they're like
Yeah,
toying with us, you know, like they're just kind of
yeah.
like aha, like yeah, just keep wishing it, keep wishing for it. I feel like that's what they want,
they
you
know
know?
their value, I feel. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
like, regardless of whenever they drop, they know it's gonna,
Mm,
people are gonna be hyped up
Yeah,
about it. So it
yeah.
doesn't matter whenever. So they're just like, yeah, I'll make you wait
Mm,
3 years.
all
e-
right. Definitely.
exactly. I think another event that really struck a chord
Mm.
with me was High School Rapper 4. Oh my goodness,
Ah.
the
I
failure
don't
of that
remember that
season.
program.
Yeah,
You
that
see?
See?
shows you it was a
It's
failure. It was
oh
a
my
fucking
goodness,
failure.
like, what in
Yeah.
the
I
world
really don't
happened?
remember that program, mate. Like, I don't.
It was
Like
such a wow, like,
even the aftermath of it was bad. All
there
right,
was
Yeah.
there was
we're
just nothing
going a
good
little
about that
dark here.
season. There was just nothing good.
I mean, it's usually not just to see like oh my all right. You remember that like I know it's kind of weird to say it in my own words, but with my own mouth. But you remember that epic Yumta rant I had?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Usually when it comes to like bad audition programs, you get contestants out of it at
Mm,
least
Uh-huh.
so that the like the audition show was shit, but the people who actually managed to go through that had some kind of great like career starting like stuff at
mm,
least, you know.
Mhm.
That was supposed to happen for like Hwang Seon and everything, but you know, like the whole like Bamiso and Yumta beef that was going on and shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those cases where the program was bad, but the aftermath of it is bad as well.
Mm,
Oh,
And
wow.
granted, the fact like Hwang Seon is also a teenager, and I think he's
Mhm.
genuinely talented. It's like it's like the drama and the incompetence of the establishment and the adults around him is kind of ruining his legacy in a sense a little bit.
yeah.
It's like so
Yeah, it
bad to
sucks.
see. Yeah, the album wasn't bad at all. It was one of my actually not top 10 material, but I enjoyed his album a lot. So it's
Mhm.
like, damn, like managing like an artist, like not just in the sense of like financial stuff, but really trying not to fuck up yourself so that it
Mhm.
doesn't like become a damage to your employees
Mm,
is a very important point for like this year because the same thing happened with Gramline.
Ugh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's
Damn.
like it has been a year where we have seen many kind of supposed father figures kind of
Yeah.
failing their
Fuck up.
jobs. Yeah, it was a major fuck up. So I guess the new motto for 2022 is
Go independent with no big head.
or
Yeah.
no, like just be responsible, I guess.
There is that too, but like for new artists
Yeah.
or like for a lesser known artist, I'll just say like kind
Mm,
of create your thing on the side because you know the bigger the artist that you go with for the label, the bigger the
yeah.
fall off. Like if they mess up,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
I just feel like the advice would be to start your own shit.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's what my biggest concern was with Daytona Entertainment with Yumta at the helm. I wasn't
Yeah.
worried with the Quiet as much, but Yumta, I definitely there was like a lot of like concerns, and
Mm. Not
I,
exactly CEO material.
not only that, but it's just I'm not trying to like bash on just like the character
Mm.
and the personality because his character is like lively and it's out there, but I don't know. I think when you're a CEO, you gotta have a sense of responsibility, you got to hold people accountable. And it just doesn't seem that way with Yumta. He just seems like he's joking all the time, doesn't really, take it
Yeah.
seriously as a CEO. And it kind of looks bad with that, he's kind of making the name CEO look bad too, with the way
Um.
Yeah,
he's,
Mhm.
for me, it's transition. It hasn't transitioned yet into like just being an
yeah.
artist and being a CEO because it's very different. Remember Simon Dominic, what he said, like it
Mm,
was like I artist CEO, two different people, and some people can't
Yeah.
be that. You know, they
Mhm.
can't
yeah.
be two. Like, they can't be CEO and an artist. And maybe it's his first time, right? I think so.
Yeah.
Mm.
Unless I don't know about anything else, is because I don't know the guy that well. But I
Mhm.
think it's his first time, and he's gonna mess up for sure.
Hmm.
Mm.
And obviously, there is not really room for him to do that because now he's such in a big position that he can't really fuck up the way he wants to. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
I think we need to cut him some slack
Yeah.
No,
a
yeah, for
bit,
sure.
just because it's really hard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No
Yeah.
doubt.
I
It's
mean,
definitely his first try. And I totally agree, and I just think it's just him, It's just he's been in the game for a long time.
he needs to learn from this. I think this is a general trend that's going on a little bit. Is like up until like I think even until like before High School Rapper 4, like the dominant not ideology, but the dominant kind of persona of
Yeah.
Korean hip hop was that you have to be as aloof and as feather kind of very light spirited as possible,
Mm.
and like Yomda being not the serious guy and kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But I think with the whole debacle going on and people getting generally pissed at the miserable life that we are all leading, I think being too happy in a sense um,
Yeah.
is not the way to
Mm.
go anymore. I think people are beginning to look for something more serious when it
Yeah.
comes to art, and I think um, not like all the way serious, like, but some sort of weight behind words and behind statements and behind movements and stuff like that. So I hope Yomta learns from this because I think Yomta's presence really means still means something to Korean hip hop and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
he's different.
yeah, don't fuck up more. Like you're kind of at your limit. So like
Y-
Yeah.
yeah, you
Talking
need to
about
some
Daytona,
yeah, like they need to like he needs to show more maturity than this.
Mhm.
You're a fucking CEO now. You're a business owner. Like be that you need some sort of transition. So
yeah.
yeah.
Talking about Daytona, I wanted to say FANA joining.
Ah
Oh,
yes.
That's
damn.
that was unexpected to me because the
Damn.
way
Mm,
that the label got presented, like all the artists that signed to the label
mm,
first,
mm,
they were like FANA. I didn't expect him to go there. Obviously, that wasn't such a
mm,
surprise when that happened. But I was like I told you guys, I think I was like,
mm.
I thought it would go somewhere like BANA,
That's where I thought he
creating
was gonna
the
end up, yeah.
Avengers again. So yeah, I would have thought it would have gone there, but that was such a surprise for me.
Either
A
BANA
great
or
surprise.
independent.
Yeah. I think like the whole when we talked about this, but we about Daytona trying not to be like crew, but more like a label
Mm,
kind of
Mhm.
thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think the Quiet and Yumta was like we said that, but all the people we're signing are sort of becoming like that kind of thing. I think they
Mhm.
had
yeah,
kind of a like like epiphany of sorts. Like we said we're not going to just have one colored artist, but if as we're signing these people it turns out we kind of are going in that direction, and I think
Mhm.
Hwana is like a nice turn right, I guess, in a sense.
Gosh.
So yeah, and
Man, that
besides Hwana
signing.
and the Quiet go way back,
mm,
Yeah.
like they were very close during their Soul Company days, and they were also quote unquote more closer to each other when the
Yeah.
whole Soul Company breakup beef happened back all those days. Like when Soul
Yeah,
Company
it's
broke up,
crazy.
it was because of business practices and stuff. And the Quiet and Hwana were still on the same page during that beef as well. So they go way
mm,
back, like into like Soul Company days. Even after the Soul Company breakup, they still featured each other, like featured like especially on the Quiet albums. Hwana featured a lot.
mm,
So it's not surprising to me, like,
mm.
but what's surprising to me is Fana would Fana would say okay to this. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I know I quoted it weird, but it's not the fact that the Quiet brought Fana that was surprising to me. It's the fact that Fana said okay to that.
Oh,
Mm.
okay.
Yeah, because Fana is uh the most anti-commercial guy you'll meet in like seeing Korean hip hop
For
period.
sure.
Mm,
Yeah, and Daytona being the label it is, I don't think like he will push Fana to go on TV or anything.
No, I don't
yeah.
think
But
so.
Fana is usually a person that really doesn't like exposure. At least he looked like that to me.
Mm.
So
Mm,
I think he had a kind of change of heart because like if there's one person in Korean hip hop that deserves more shine, it's him.
Oh, heck
Um,
yeah, dude. Heck yeah.
he has basically been like the underground pillar for like the scene in totality. Like he has been
mm,
like the pillar for like how many years I can't even count. Dude needs some kind of recognition, and
yeah,
show me the money or any kind of other things are not giving him that. So
Mm.
I think he's trying to transition to a model in which he doesn't have to betray his values but still can actually continue building a career.
yeah. And when
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
still exposed, his Dingo freestyle is great.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's one of the most gifted lyricists, most gifted album makers, one of the most gifted voices in hip hop in general.
Very unique voice.
Mm,
Yeah, so props to him. I'm glad to see people are giving more recognition to him. Like Hana forever, I guess.
And I guess to
Yeah.
add to that, I think it's great to bring in a big veteran like Fauna to a young
Yes,
label like Daytona because,
it adds
you
more
know,
weight.
yeah, it not
Mm.
only adds weight, but I think it kind of brands that label kind of like this kind of like a diverse kind of label
Mm,
in ways because a lot of the artists that they signed are young artists. You know, they don't
yeah,
Yeah.
have
exactly.
artists that are like a
Mm,
veteran, and I think adding Fana to the team, I think definitely enhances that credibility. You know,
mhm.
because we all know, you know, his credits and um, the status that he has, and so I truly think that signing was a big plus. Like, I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of big benefits
Yeah,
with
He
signing
also
with
definitely.
Fana.
differentiated from Ambition Music because, it's a lot of young rappers as well,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
if you want to create a different label, then you add some, OGs, I feel.
Hmm.
yeah, no doubt. And it's just it was just crazy still the fact that when they announced, I actually like the fact that he was on Killing Verse was crazy enough, and when he announced that Fnatic 2 was dropping, that was even more crazy. And then they
Yeah.
announced that he's joining Daytona was just like icing on the
Wow,
cake.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
and so yeah,
And
I'm kind
literally,
of
no one
excited.
hates
Yeah,
him.
oh
No
for
one hates
sure.
Fauna.
I mean,
Like,
he doesn't make himself, like a hateful person. He
yeah,
doesn't do anything that's gonna attract,
provocative.
yeah,
Yeah.
hate or anything. He just stays wherever
Hmm.
and don't
He's
talk
Like,
to anybody. So
just a quiet guy.
and many people like the artists that are regarded as the best players, I guess,
Hmm.
trendsetters and game changers, all have been indebted to him. I think we talked about this. I'm not sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
you've
like
mentioned that.
yeah, Jackie Y went through Ugly Junction.
Hmm.
Mm.
Like Kunti Panda went through Ugly Junction. Like there's myriads of artists in the scene that went through the Ugly Junction. So it's like the godfather of the underground has finally kind of begin to get some recognition. So props to Fana, props to Daytona, props to the Quiet for bringing him in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What's happening with the Quiet and Doki though?
Ooh.
Yeah.
What is
Ooh.
going on?
I think Toki's kind of pissed. The Quiet
Ooh.
being the person he is, I don't think he's not going to respond to that diss.
Mm.
But like the dude's very subtle. Like the Quiet is he's the kind of guy that doesn't actively engage in conflict. He's more of the type of guy that kind of tries to rise above it. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
but Toki is a guy that's more straightforward and more passionate when it comes to things.
Mm,
The Quiet is
Hmm.
more detached. And I don't want to say this because it's very speculative at this point, but the way he
Right.
wrote those lyrics, like Toki did, it's like,
yeah.
yeah, that's 100% a diss. Um,
Yeah, I saw the breakdown and I was just like, oh.
yeah,
Yeah, I
there's no
think it's
way
a
that
diss
is
too.
not a
Yeah.
diss.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I don't know what happened. That was very surprising to me because I've always thought that obviously there wasn't like any. I've always thought that they parted ways amicably. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I didn't think it was such a big deal. I just thought that, they've done everything that they could do together, and then
Hmm.
Doki wanted different things, and then
Yeah,
just kind of went away to the US, and then the quiet continued. So I
They'll
was
quite
very, very
even
surprised.
they'll quite even uploaded a final photo between him and Doki on Instagram
yeah.
too, and so I
I
thought it
mean,
was like a
it's like
healthy parting, but all of a sudden this shows up. You know?
it's like watching your two favorite uncles fight. Like,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Illinaire has been such a big part of my teenage years, and even
Hmm.
in my early college years. I think it's speculation here. Like, all right, disclaimer, I guess, speculation. The Daytona speculation coming in here. Like Toki ran into legal trouble regarding jewelries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has to do with that because from what I know, the legal team of Illionaire wasn't exactly proactive enough
Mm,
Mm.
in like I think guarding Toki.
yeah.
But then again, there's I think there might be sides to like both stories, like stories of both sides. Yeah, yes,
Mm,
because Toki might have been kind of pissed that Illionaire wasn't doing enough, and I think the Quiet might have been pissed that Toki was involved in this kind of shit at all.
mm,
No.
And like, this is just speculation, but I think that might have been the trouble because I don't see
okay.
any other way they would have been that
Yeah.
pissed with each other.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if it was truly about musical trajectory, it doesn't make sense because Toki already embraced the guy's inhibition music, right?
Mhm.
It was
Mhm.
heavily
Yeah.
using autotune, not exactly the music that Toki is known for, right?
Mhm.
Mm.
So there's no reason for there to be like a musical kind of objection between them.
But he
So
didn't diss Ambition music. He dissed Daytona as well, apparently.
yeah,
So from what I
exactly.
saw.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it's like there's no other reason but business problems.
Mm.
So
As it's always with business.
yeah, it's always the stuff that goes behind the scenes. I mean, at the end of the day, this is an entertainment industry, and the fans rarely get what's actually happening behind the, you know, s- behind the scenes. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's all speculation at this point, but I think it's safe to assume that that was 100% a diss,
Yeah.
Mm.
and things are not amicable. Things are not amicable between them. Mm.
Yeah. And
That's a shame.
Yeah,
yeah, it really
exactly.
is. I think another big topic I quickly want to go over is Show Me the Money 10. I think
Mm.
that really it really sparked and it really outdid my expectations from season 9. Because at first,
Yeah.
as you are both aware that I was not really excited for season 10,
Hmm.
I wasn't really too high up there, especially with
周广给我 hey 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 hey
congrats to
woo,
him.
Yeah.
woo, woo.
Congrats.
I just
Congrats.
want to throw like a disclaimer out there. I was a fan before the fame. Thank you.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
That is very
You were
true.
like there
Yep.
from the start, from
Yep.
what I know,
Yes.
from the
Hmm.
acrobat days. So
Yes.
yeah.
But yeah, that season was great, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it was. I think for me, the best part about that season was Since.
Mm.
I like
Oh yeah, she killed it.
you guys
Yeah.
both know that I'm huge Since fan, and I talk about her a lot. And I never found a female artist that could spit like that, rhyme like that, give a
Yeah.
delivery like that, and so
Mm.
She's kind of a different breed in Korean hip hop. I think because there is not much female representation in Korean hip
mhm,
hop as of now. At least, I mean, it has become way better than before, but there always have been like archetypes of female rappers in Korean hip hop.
mm,
Like even before Jackie Y, it was like you're like a Yumire clone or nothing, that kind
Mm.
of
mm,
thing. And after Jackie Y, it was like you're Jackie Y or nothing. And now finally, I think we're beginning to see a wave of female rappers that are trying to break away from those archetypes and try and establish something of their own. I think
mhm,
Since is one of them. Swervy is one of them.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, she's great. I like
yeah,
her influences, like Swervy.
mhm,
yeah, we're seeing a lot of like differentiations. I know like the artist EXN that I recommended to you,
yeah,
like in private. So we're
mhm,
seeing
Mm.
lots of deviations from archetypes. Like there's no typical mold of what a female rapper should be now, and that's great. That means more diversity.
yeah,
And since being so successful in the Show Me the Money season 10 is kind of a definite proof of that. We're beginning to see different flavors within the kind of female demographic as well, and that's great.
yeah, dude, she was killing the whole program,
I
like
mean, she was just such a good rapper. Like,
Yeah, like there's nothing that you can
yeah,
say. Like you put her next to a man, like you said,
yeah,
and
bro,
she's gonna kill it. Like she
she
yeah.
is
spits.
she is
Mm.
better than, like, 80% of the rappers in Korea, no disrespect, like,
No
she
one is disrespect. Yeah, no one is refuting that. She's a
dude,
really good
oh my
rapper.
goodness,
Yeah.
like, wow. She's just
Mm.
that good, like, seriously,
Yeah.
and all the songs that she was on, it was straight up rap,
Mm.
you know? And
Yeah. I think one or two had some sing-songy shit, but
mhm,
yeah,
Yeah, that
she
one with Mirani, that wasn't.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But I think overall it was, a
Very
very
rapidy rap. Yeah.
yeah. I just thought, especially Team Code Coons and Keko, I think that team had the most hip hop songs.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that was like that was the weird thing about this season. Like this season was the season really that sparked a lot of controversy as well as great
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of chart stuff.
Controversy.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Mm.
because the Yumta thing, but I'm not
Yeah.
gonna go into that thing. But I think it kind of had a lot of controversy in the Korean hip hop community, at least, is that like this shit isn't hip hop kind of thing, you know?
Mm.
Um, this was one of those seasons where the rapping, like contestants were not rapping that much on the
No.
actual like
No.
charting songs.
Yeah.
Hmm,
So
yeah.
it kind yeah, because Cho Gang-il is definitely a rapping guy, since rapped as well. Mud the student sometimes.
Mhm.
Mm.
But usually the songs were very outside of what we consider the hip hop construct.
Mhm.
It was very
Yeah.
either like rock influenced or pop
Pop.
influenced.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of I think has sort of brought a identity crisis issue for Korean hip hop.
Mm.
Like it's great to see that rappers are doing good on the charts.
Right.
Yeah.
Because this season had a lot of chart success. It really did. But at the same time, you're kind of thinking, but is this really hip hop music though? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, for
how
me, hip hop has
yeah.
many shapes now. So
Yeah.
fighting about what hip hop is doesn't like it. It's not
Yeah.
relevant.
Mhm.
Yeah, it isn't. It definitely isn't. But the community apparently doesn't feel that way, it seems. Do you know like it's more like this. You remember Gym Class Heroes?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. One of my favorite bands in the world. Love them.
Yes, exactly. Or Flow Rida or
Oh, wow.
B.O.B.
I
Yeah.
mean, no, Florida is not hip hop. It
Yeah, but
raps.
exactly. Exactly. Like I think it's that kind of controversy.
Uh,
Mhm.
Or something like rappers like B.O.B. Like I mean, I guess he's technically hip hop, but if you
yeah.
look at his records, it's kind of, you know what I mean here?
Yeah.
So I think that kind of identity crisis has hit the Korean hip hop community. Like that had led to a lot of like disdain for rappers like Bo, which is a shame.
Counting
Mhm.
stars. That was a great song.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Oh,
with the
no.
whole
Oh,
yeah,
no.
and it was like I think people are really beginning to think about and a loss of division considering
Yeah.
like what is going to be the future of Korean hip hop from now. And I guess I'm not sure, but it's this was this very interesting season in the fact that it kind of left us with a question, like
Yeah.
how are we going to move forward from here, like what direction should we go on.
Let it
Do we
be.
Yeah, and my answer to that is just like you said, Paloma, there's nothing really you can do about it. Like this
Yeah.
isn't politics. There is no sense of one being a justice and one not being it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
this isn't like you have a certain enemy. Like it isn't like singing on a hip hop record is being fascist or something, right?
Mhm.
Mm.
So there's no answer to this. So to me, if it means more inclusion, I don't care what you do. Like um, great art is going to survive no matter what. Like this whole theory about pop replacing hip hop is kind of stupid to me.
No.
So
Mm.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
that's not gonna happen.
yeah.
Um, Jumping back to Show Me the Money, I was
Mm.
very disappointed in like what was shown of Sokodomo.
Oh,
Mm.
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like he's so much more capable, and I
Yeah.
just feel like yeah, he came up short on the
Yeah.
program.
I mean,
Um, yeah, I'm like I was expecting him like to I don't know, but yeah, I was just kind of disappointed
they
a bit
tamed
because
him too
he's so
much.
much more he's so much more capable and he could have done crazy shit, and that just didn't happen for me. So I was just like, yeah,
I think the
I,
best song that he showed out was "B" with Palo
B, yeah,
Alto
that
and Lil Boy.
like
That beat was nasty. That beat was just nuts.
that reminded me so much of like um '06 Common or
Yeah. Black
like
Milk.
2000s Neptunes. And that's a great thing for me. Like I just wish like I mean granted being the great track B is
Yeah.
I wanted Sokodomo to be much more experimental and wild. Like
Mm.
he shouldn't have been tamed. Like
That's the
Yeah.
world wide.
yeah, exactly. Same with Mud the student, but at least Mud had an opportunity to make some batshit crazy shit before he made a completely commercial hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sokodomo never really got a chance to do crazy stuff.
No, not at
Yeah,
all.
so it's like, yeah, he should have been way more crazier, and I think the producer should have kept that in mind to do some crazy stuff.
I wonder if he or the producers had made songs like M or anything
Mm.
from, you know,
I mean, that's what,
his recent album that would have like,
yeah, that was what's so puzzling about this. Like, Zion T is a very weird soul. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Mm.
he's unique too.
Yeah, so why are they keep trying to like prove themselves commercially? Especially Zion T, because Zion T
Yeah.
already has proved himself commercially over and over and over.
Mm.
Like I really want I'm getting a little tired of this because I mean granted Zion T did tease that his new album will be more for his fans rather than the masses, which is a good sign. But Zion T is capable of much more boundary pushing shit. Same
Yeah,
with
Yeah.
Okodomo, and I think so. Sloam also has the capability of doing that.
no doubt.
So it's like, why? I mean, why did you pick Sokodomo if you're going to go for that? Like, you
Mm.
should have picked Bo or something.
Mm.
So, it was a kind of waste of potential in my eyes.
And so, are you happy with the winner, though?
The winner was actually the person that that experimented with his music, so that's good for me. Like,
Mm.
unlike Paloma here, dear listeners, I wasn't on the Cho Kwang-il train at first. Like to me, he was like a Joyner Lucas clone or something. Like
Oh.
the Eminem thing, like that kind of music, I don't like.
Mm.
But I think through this season, he has proved himself to not be an Eminem clone,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
and that's what I liked about it. Like if you're going to imitate Rap God for the rest of your career, I have no business listening to your albums. But obviously, I don't think that's not what he's trying to do. He proved that through
Mm.
this season with a lot of experimental takes, like the final song where like with the Western theme.
Yeah.
Mm.
That shit was
Cardion.
amazing. Yeah, that shit was amazing. Like if it's that kind of Chokwang I'm going to see from now, like I'm down with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this season really showed him like the innovative side of his music, so
Showed
that's
a lot of
great.
Yeah.
diversity. It showed,
Yeah.
I think the program was able to help him unlock, or he was able to unlock more of his skills
Hmm.
Yeah.
and to kind of prove the doubters wrong.
Yeah.
Because you
Exactly.
can clearly see a lot of different diversity involved with his rap schemes,
Mm-hmm.
the way he delivers, his flow, and the cadences. And so I think this program really benefited a lot to him.
Mm-hmm.
He was hungry, I feel. So he had
Yeah.
something to prove. Like I said from the start, he has a great story. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why I felt like he was going to win anyways.
Yeah.
Just because, whatever. Congratulations
Yeah.
to him.
I
Yeah.
think that's the
Seriously,
other
looking
cool
forward to
thing
the
about the
album.
program
Yeah,
because
same.
there was a lot of there was no 100% sure on who was gonna win.
Yeah, exactly.
You
The
know?
power balance was
Yeah.
actually interesting this season. Like for the past seasons, it was like always you knew who's gonna win.
Yeah.
It was like there's why there were catchphrases like "어차피 우승은 송민호" or something like "the winner's
Hmm.
always going to be 송민호" or something like that
Oh,
kind of
no.
thing. Yeah, that kind of was a phrase, right? But that
Hmm.
didn't happen for this season because you never knew who was going to get the highest. But
Mm.
I think it was only certain when it comes to like the real final rounds that who was going to win. Like up until then, like it was really the power balance was really great. Like you never know who's going to get ahead.
Yeah.
Like yeah, and obviously the whole like Kekko like Houjui like
Oh
Chokwangil.
yeah. That was a sick song.
Yeah, but before that came '08 Basic, right? Yeah, and I genuinely didn't know who was gonna win.
Yeah, that was
So
a crazy matchup.
yeah, so it was like every time I tuned in, not necessarily a fan of all the songs, but you actually got the kind of competitive side, actually
Hmm.
Yeah.
heated competition, and that's something Show Me the Money has been missing for a long time. So
Hey, I just want to give a shout
props.
out to Kunta, dude. Seriously, Kunta for
Mm,
his age, man, for him to like slowly to
mm,
like sharpen up and to, really showcase,
Yeah,
Although he
yeah.
didn't really showcase the skills because I feel like the producers kind of
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
don't
if it
get
was
Yeah,
it.
it's two
That's
songs at the finals. I was like, ugh.
just get
yeah,
some. I hope he really goes into a reggae direction from now on. Like he has an actual contract with Skull, so
yeah,
Yeah.
I hope he shows that there was no music. I mean, this is the problem with Show Me the Money, but then again, we always had it. Like, it wasn't exactly about showcasing the uniqueness of the artist, but actually trying to get them to top as much, like, as highest on the charts as possible.
yeah.
So,
Mm.
but then again, as I have said, that was an issue for almost all Show Me the Money seasons, whether it was good or not. So, I'm a little puzzled. I thought AOMG was gonna break up completely, but I think
Mm,
that's not the case here, right?
No, it's not.
Yeah,
I
it's
hope
just
not.
Jay Park.
I hope not.
Yeah, it's just Jay Park removing his post from CEO.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you really look at it, there was a lyric in the one just featuring in the "Show Me the Money" song that says he's gonna be remain loyal regardless of the contract paper. So
Yeah.
there's a lyric in
Oh.
there. There's a lyric in there. So I guess that was sort of a precursor.
Oh, I didn't
But
capture that.
Mm.
yeah,
That's
there's a
kind of
lyric on it.
crazy.
Go back and listen to it. Haha. So I'm such an
Wow.
avid listener. I caught that. Yeah. That's how much
All
I care
right.
about this. Anyway, this is not exactly a good thing.
Mhm.
J Park's presence, especially with like beef behind Toki and the Quiet,
Mm.
and this is an OG leaving behind his post. It means we are going to have less control on the culture as we used to have
Yeah.
because there is no such thing as a vacancy of CEOs. If Jay Park has retired, it means someone is going to replace him.
Pumpkin isn't. Pumpkin is still on it.
Yeah, but is it? I'm not sure about this, so you'll have to fill me up on this. But is like is it now Pumpkin or is someone replacing Jay Park?
So basically, what happened is that
Mm.
Pumpkin has replaced Simon D, right? So they were
Yeah.
Right.
co-CEOs. So basically, Pumpkin does all the like signing and stuff. When you hear
Mm.
about Lehigh, it was Pumpkin. You hear about
Yeah.
Yugium,
Mm.
that was Pumpkin.
Mm.
So I think at one point, what J Park did was he was just kind of advisory already, and he wasn't
Mm.
actively a CEO. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
more like the figure of AOMG
Mm.
because he started that off. So I
Figurehead. Yeah.
don't, yeah, exactly. So I don't, I think probably for the past 2 years, he's been more like advisory anyways.
Mm.
Mhm.
And it was just not official yet. That's my thought.
Yeah.
That could be the case, yeah.
I really hope Pumpkin stays in the pace because it's never a good thing when a corporate CEO steps in.
Oh,
Mm,
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's not just a problem in the entertainment industry, but industry in general. Every time you get like a quote unquote professional CEO, things turn out bad.
Yeah.
And I hope Pumpkin really manages to do this without Jay Park. And
Mhm.
I hope he stays because I really don't want this like important labels being figureheaded by jackasses that don't know shit about the culture. So
Alright.
mm.
rather than kind of feeling dejected because Jay Park's what do you call it? Jay Park stepping down, but I will say props to Pumpkin and all
Mm.
the more power to Pumpkin, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think he
Yeah.
needed a break. Like J Park just needs a break,
Yeah.
and maybe
Yeah,
he's
it
not so
does.
passionate anymore. Because like as an artist
Mm.
and as a CEO taking care of other artists,
Mm.
that must be a hard thing to
Yeah,
do that for the like
exactly.
10 years
Mm.
straight for two labels.
Mm.
Mhm.
And maybe he wants to try something else. Like he's definitely going into more like business stuff with his soju brand
Mhm.
and
Mm.
stuff like that. So I think that's kind of the trajectory that he's gonna take from now on.
Mhm.
But yeah, more power to Pumpkin. He's been doing great since he started off,
Yeah.
and I
Signing
think he's
Liai
been yeah,
was
yeah,
exactly. That was
and
amazing.
people exactly, and like people don't give him the props that you know is due
Mm.
sometimes, just because J-Pop was such a massive figure, and he
Mhm.
Yeah.
started off the label, and some people tend to forget that DJ Pumpkin was
Mm.
actually doing the you know grafting at the back and doing the work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
but yeah, I'm not surprised actually.
Mm.
Yeah, it was kind of emotional, I'd say too,
Mm,
especially when he dropped that song to life. I was like, damn,
Mm.
this is really
Farewell.
him
mm.
stepping down as a CEO, and kind of him being, like you mentioned, Paloma, kind of venturing out into the business world, and
Like
also
if you
him
think
being as an
about it,
artist and stuff. So
everyone except the Quiet has stepped down.
Yeah,
yeah.
he's so strong. You know what? I respect that man so much. He's
Yeah.
been doing everything
Palo
like for
Yeah.
Alto
the
stepped.
past, yeah,
Yeah. Palo Alto stepped down. Swing stepped down.
That's
everyone.
crazy.
Yeah. Jay Park stepped down. Who's left?
Just him.
Mezz, but he kind of
He killed
uh
it for
Yeah.
himself.
Mm,
exploded in midair. So
Hmm.
really, there's no one left. Even like the only people that are left are like the smaller labels, like Deja
mhm.
Vu or
Yeah.
Mm.
Halftime Records, stuff like that. So when it comes to like the major labels we know of, the only person that is actually keeping their CEO post is the Quiet.
Oh, and
So,
Mm.
VMC.
oh
VMC.
yeah, and oh no, I'm
Yeah,
not. Is Deflo still in like on in that
yeah.
position?
I think
He
so,
hasn't
yeah.
like I haven't heard
Mm,
anything like from him backing down. I
yeah,
don't
I
know what's
guess
happening with
Deflo as
Higher
well then.
Music either, because I don't know who the CEO is, to be honest. Cha Cha
Mm,
might be the like US branch, but I don't know what's happening with Higher
Deflo has a lot
Music.
of in his shoulder as well because like how many members has VMC have? Like,
A lot.
um,
Quite a lot. Quite a lot.
Chaboom is another example.
Yeah, yeah.
Chaboom is
Mm.
actually
LBNC.
hitting it.
Yeah.
I think LBNC is really growing up to be a major label these days, and
Mhm.
with being so many artists signed to him, I think the whole like LBNC VMC conglomerate, I like to call it this way because they're so close with each other. Basically,
Mm.
Chaboom is basically a disciple of D-Flow, so I think except those three, like most major labels we know of, like they all stepped down. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but at this point, but I hope it all kind of is for the best.
Yeah.
Maybe this means that we're finally going to see a side of Jay Park that is purely artistic for a
Yeah, that's what
while.
I'm hoping it'll be,
I
you
He
know?
want
said
that.
he's gonna release an album, so
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hope that's more like tailored to like artistry. Fentanyl really blew up. In the of course that's not a good thing. There has been federal investigations going on, and it was also shown in like documentaries on
Yeah.
TV.
Mhm.
mm.
Uh,
It's just
Case in
sad.
point, I
It's
already
just
went on a
sad.
crazy rant about this, and I'm still fucking pissed about it.
Mhm.
And especially more pissed because such an important hip hop label or crew or clique in Korean history fully indulged in it. I'm not going to say who. You already
Yeah.
know who I was saying about.
Mhm.
Like, it shows that fentanyl has penetrated so deep into the culture that it has been really painful trying to remove its influence.
Yeah.
Um, and this will be problematic because this means bad stuff for other drugs, other non-lethal drugs. Like this will
Mm.
push back marijuana legalization or
Poor Bill
Mhm.
Stacks.
yeah, exactly. Like just as we
Yeah.
were trying to get something started for actually harmless drugs. Not I don't even consider cannabis to be drugs at the anyway, but and this is still very lumped in Korea. Like so it's like it's not just going to be like the masses saying no to marijuana. It's going to be active players in the scene that's going to say no to marijuana because of their experiences with fentanyl.
Yeah.
Like it's just so. I never, I never even considered fentanyl will be this big in the scene. This kind of shows my blind spot, I guess, in a sense.
Mm.
Because for the past 2 years, I have been a very good citizen and been quarantining like hell. And I think fentanyl was relatively new to Korea, and
Mm.
I don't know if Burning Sun is like implicated in this, but
Really?
I'm not
Wasn't it
sure.
like 3 years ago?
Yeah, but granted, at this point, you'd have to think about everything.
Mm,
Yeah.
Like who knew fentanyl will be this big? And kind of it also explains the laziness of certain Korean like rappers. And I really hoped it was just they were uninspired. I never thought they would
mm,
have lost their souls and minds to this fentanyl shit.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were actually targeting teenagers, luring them in, making them like seeing them more as like product placement for more fentanyl plugs to come in and make a profit off of it. It shows a very ugly side of Korean hip hop.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these rappers that were involved in fentanyl had a record of saying fuck media, right?
Mhm.
mm,
Which is basically what being underground means. But since having being underground in Korea is so difficult, and not trying to give an excuse to these motherfuckers, by the way, still, it shows a very ugly side of something that I cherished. Like so, like, like we're not in Harlem, guys.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
isn't like
Seriously.
we don't suffer. We didn't have to suffer from like systematic racism or something.
Exactly.
Systemic racism or
Mm,
something. Like y'all, most of the guys who did fentanyl in the Korean scene were like, especially the plugs, were like rich frat boys with privileged parents. So this is just like, why do I have to see like Wolf of Wall Street shit in like
Seriously.
Korean underground hip hop? That's
literally.
stupid. Yeah, like
It's
shut the fuck up and stop doing this. Like, y'all are privileged frat boys. You have no excuse. You're not going to be Chief Keef because you did some fentanyl. Okay, so
I think
cut
Mm,
that's
that
what
shit.
really frustrates me the most within the
Mm.
Korean hip hop scene. It's like you're not you're not gangster, bro. Like stop trying to act like one. Like like try
boss.
living in America, like
Like,
you see the real, you know, side to it. Like you're in Korea, bro.
yeah,
Like just it's just really saddening and like to make, when I saw, the topic of fentanyl being popped up on like
mm,
KBS or like a
mm,
major news channel in Korea, I was
mm.
just like, really? Like this is what has come down to, like
Like I
oh
understand if it's like a gimmick or something. Like I still don't like it, but if you're musically gonna do it, I guess who's gonna stop you? But like this whole concept of realness, quote unquote realness, of like you need to be a criminal to be real hip hop. Like
it's
there's this
so
sentiment to it, and
dumb,
it's
bro.
fucking lame and stupid. So
That's done. That's so over. Like,
Oh.
I mean, even that shit is like facing backlash in the states too. You
yeah.
know?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So,
But I feel like the
but
debate is not so strong as it used to be. Like, rappers are just rappers and, just themselves nowadays. And I feel like
that's what I'm
maybe
talking
Korea is
about.
like late
Like for
onto catching up
example,
to that.
yeah, like as I always said, I think I said this on a podcast. Like whenever it comes to culture and politics, we're like 5 years late or something.
Yeah.
Mm,
And look, if it's like in the States, for example, you're a product of your environment. So even if there's controversy at the end, socioeconomically speaking, there's some sort of justification that can go on.
Mhm.
mm.
That's not the case here. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
There's
Yeah.
no fucking excuse. You went to private school. You were literally Papa Doc from 8 Mile. So, like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you trying to go out of your way to like destroy your life over bullshit that you weren't even subjected to it when you were little?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, you didn't tote guns. You didn't you weren't living in a murderous neighborhood. You weren't maybe the worst you're probably gonna have is poverty, which is completely understandable,
Yeah.
but then rap about being in like subjected to poverty or even some organized crime maybe. Like I don't get this whole fentanyl bullshit that or gangster shit that you're going through. Like that's not possible. You don't have AKs here, right? You don't have choppers. So why are you rapping about them and why do you feel like you have to adhere to that image you will never be able to live up to?
Gang, gang.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
just like that's
it's
stupid.
sad.
Like
It's
there
it's
is a
utterly
reason.
ridiculous.
Yeah, if you're going to go for the aesthetics, like make sure it stays just as an aesthetic. Like your art,
Mhm.
if quote unquote art is eating you alive, like don't be that kind of fool. Like you're being a fucking tool. So stop that shit. Like being a plug is not cool. Being getting teenagers hooked onto fentanyl is not cool. It's criminal in the worst way possible. Not because like criminal in the way that like it's like illegal. Like it's against human morality. You know what I
Mhm.
Yeah.
mean? It's against justice. It's against goodness. Like people like you ruin this culture. So fuck off. Um, I don't want to ever see these people again. Honestly, no matter how
Mm.
musically gifted they were, like this is inexcusable. Like fuck this shit. Fuck off. Fuck off. I guess.
Mhm.
And talking about drugs, James was also
Mm.
involved
Oh. Oh.
in a in a little of
Oh.
a pickle here.
Oh.
Like,
It's not even funny. It is not even funny. Like that's
Oh.
just at this point in time I'm a bit tired because first of all I'm not surprised.
oh really?
Like I said, I'm not surprised.
I
I told you
mean,
I don't trust any of them. And yeah, I don't trust any of them, especially like
mm,
people we talk about feminism
mm,
Fair enough.
that much and that are like yeah these ones I'm kind of like worried about the most, so I don't that didn't surprise me that much, at this point I'm just like yeah,
mm.
okay, not that I'm numb to that, obviously that's fucking shit, but more like yeah I'm not surprised kind of thing, so
I mean, I to be honest, I was.
Yeah.
May being the skeptic I am, I consider myself a very skeptical person, but I guess it's still I'm not as skeptic as you, Paloma, or something. But
no.
I truly like to me drug charges, especially I think it was LSD or John
Yeah.
Mezz. It wasn't fentanyl, so whatever from
Mm,
that on that front. But domestic abuse is
mm,
domestic abuse
yeah.
is inexcusable. Although there has been like back and forths, and I think this is going to court again. So I won't disclose so much because I don't want to get sued for libel laws. But
Yeah, and also we should
Mhm.
probably do a warning for people who
yeah,
don't want to listen to
Yeah.
this part of the podcast and that can be triggered and stuff. So
mm,
yeah, this is the part of the podcast. If you want to jump into the next segment where we talk about the music that we're listening to, you can do that.
mhm,
Because here we're gonna talk about drugs and
domestic
domestic
abuse.
abuse.
Yeah. I'm not going to go into whether this was true or not. Because personally, I think this is. I think the victim's story checks out way more than Jamez is,
Mm.
and in this kind of situations, is usually the right choice to actually hear the victim side of the first,
Of
unless it's
course.
actively disapproved in court. Um, there's something. Oh my god, I'm gonna catch some flack for this.
Well, you're moving to the states.
Yeah, fuck. Seeking asylum in the craziest country in the world, I guess. This shows after Keith Ape, because Keith Ape had
Oof.
this kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you right. This shit cannot fly. This misogynistic shit cannot fly. I mean, beating up your girl. I like. All right, this has more to do with my moral standards. I personally like never understood why you would beat up your partner. Like, for example, when it comes to like studying, especially American history and stuff, just culture in general, you become a lot more forgiving for lots of criminal activities, because you get to learn about like prison industrial complexes and stuff. Then you realize that a person is more of a product of their environment rather than who they're born into. That's always been my firm held belief. But the one time that challenges me is when I see domestic abuse cases or rape cases.
Yeah.
Um, for example, like even murder, for example, can be motivated by anger, like very righteous anger. Like for example, if your daughter has been killed, I guess in
Mm.
revenge you can kill their assailant. Like although it is illegal, I think it's morally justified. That's the kind of person
Mm-hmm.
I am.
Yeah.
But rape or domestic abuse is a different question because this is not about revenge. This is not about some sort of vindicative justice. This is about a very twisted form of greed, in my opinion.
Evil.
Yeah, there's no way you can justify these kind of cases. Same, and by the way, this is not just the case for like men against women. Like women against men is the same thing as well. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
trying to like approach this from a feminist perspective. I'm trying to approach this from like the criminality perspective here.
Mhm.
Rape and domestic abuse possibly cannot be about justice. It's coming from a very twisted mentality within a human subconscious that calls for like unregulated lust and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Mm.
There's no justice in this, okay? Like, no matter what motivation was behind it, by using this kind of medium, you fucked yourself up. Like, that's a
Mhm.
moral line you do not fucking cross, okay? So, I was incredibly disappointed in James because
I second that.
yeah, because James was actually one of the few people that had a very positive intonation in his message. This is like, I don't
Mm.
know, this is like the state's equivalent to saying like Kendrick Lamar like running around with KKK leaders.
Oh.
It's that bad. It's like that kind of complete contradiction to the message. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Mm.
This is unforgivable to me. Like James actively made the last album, the Pink album, I think, which
Oh.
was heavily themed around respect for women.
Well, that's why I don't trust him.
Yeah, but then again, Paloma, if you're going from that perspective, who are we supposed to trust? Like, for example,
No,
how
no
are we
one.
supposed to ever? Yeah, and
no, no
I
one.
don't
I'm
want.
just gonna.
Yeah, I don't like that. Is what I'm saying. Like,
I'm black. I don't trust no one. That's
yeah, I completely get it. I really do.
yeah.
It's like this. I'm constantly getting disappointed every time. Not just in culture, not just in entertainment, but that's just how I feel about the world in general. All I'm saying is, in an era where politicians, corporations, even civil rights activists, or just adults in general, I guess, are so keen in disappointing the newer generation, the so called MZ generation,
Mm-hmm.
we fundamentally begin to lose a sense of trust within society. And believe it or not, trust is something that cannot be rectified by just throwing money at it.
Mm.
No.
Current capitalism cannot solve a case of trust erosion. And in that sense, what is supposed to actually rectify this is a sense of culture. For example, there hip hop having a very misogynistic kind of stigma on it, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
And every time there's a quality product that not just for the sake of political novelty, but actually approaches it in an art form and says that this is not the case. Every time those kind of art forms come forward, it I think it contributes to undoing that stigma. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Mezz was one of the rappers that actually did that.
Oh boy.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And with growing gender conflicts within Korea in the political like dichotomy, this album was supposed to be a good testament of it. You know what I mean? Like Jameez's persona was supposed to be
Yeah.
that, but he fucked up like this. And he really let me down in that perspective. And now next time something like this happens, like next time something like James, not something, but like art forms like James comes out, like who's gonna trust it?
Yeah.
There's always going to be like, he's gonna be an idiot who wants to, I don't know, subdue his misogynistic conscience or something. So this is an erosion of trust
Yeah.
and a very regression in the sense of what this culture could have been. So
Yeah.
uh
It's definitely
fuck it. Fuck it. Yeah. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
it's definitely unfortunate. I mean, just hearing the story is like you can tell just by my voice how just
You
thoroughly
really like
disappointed.
James. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like, oh my.
You really
It's
liked him.
like when you broke this news out to me,
Mm,
um, I I literally like put my head down, like literally
mm,
for at least like 10 minutes.
mm.
Just how disappointed and just at
Yeah.
first I couldn't believe this.
Mm.
And reading up on it, I couldn't finish it.
Mm.
I couldn't finish reading the article because it's just so oh
Yeah, I guess
It
it
was too much.
it all goes back to, like, I think what I said about like parasocial relationships. Like, view, I know it's bleak, but at the end of the day, they're products.
yeah.
Mm. Consume them as
True
such.
true social activism cannot come from consumerism. That's impossible. So don't invest yourself too much in it, I guess. I
Mhm.
know that's kind of contradictory coming from a culture podcast, but honestly, for your well being, dear listeners, do not invest yourself so much into parasocial relationships. That's not a good idea at all. At the end of the day, what you're consuming may be art, but it is still a product. Don't,
Yeah.
don't, don't make heroes. Not a good choice.
Don't you think like the dissolution of the label was a bit too much?
Mm,
Because they were still like artists and stuff, and like they could have just cut James for me because it means that the other artists have to suffer from that, from
Yeah.
I
some.
think I think it wasn't the fact that James got kicked out that broke up Grand
Mhm.
Line. I think what broke up Grand Line was the fact that no one was willing to take up the
To
mantle of
take
CEO.
oh yeah, I see.
Mhm.
Because
Because
if you
the
think,
previous CEO wasn't even there anymore, so.
yeah, Warman explicitly gave it to James
Mhm.
so Warman could
Oy.
pursue different things. And
Mm,
if you really think about it, the people who are left in Grand Line, there's not exactly a person who can
no.
take up the mantle of CEO
No,
there.
not at
Yeah,
all.
The
for
person
sure.
closest would be like Louis from Geeks, but Louis never
Yeah.
struck me as a CEO type of guy.
Hmm.
Um, still, uh, the verdict will be when the court date finishes, I guess, or something.
Mhm.
So
Oh, is she taking him to court now?
yeah, I mean, she has to.
Hmm.
She has to.
Rightfully
At this
so.
point, she has to.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's better for as fans of Korean hip hop to, I guess, don't fixate on defending James, or so just at least if you're not going to pray for the victim and say, "Oh, it should be neutral before," if you're that kind of person, like at least just don't give a fuck about it anymore and move on or something. Like,
Oh yeah, no one is defending him. No
I
one. I've
mean,
not
they're
seen
all.
that.
I mean, in the Korean hip hop community is a bit different. I
Oh
told
yeah,
you,
from the West. Yeah,
there's
we are.
something very special about this country that I don't like.
Hmm.
So anyway, you're not going to be listening to this podcast. So mainly this is for international listeners. So
Yeah.
I
So
guess I
on an
don't have to worry about
international,
that.
yeah, yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
Nobody's defending him at all.
Yeah. Oh man,
Yeah.
why, Mezz? Why? I mean, I was
Um.
not the biggest fan of him, but
Yeah, it's
he
still
had a
kind of
place.
disappointing, I guess.
Yeah, and so like I feel kind of duped, but then again, it's kind of a hypocrisy on my part as well because I was the first person on this podcast to say parasocial relationships always happen and you try to distance from it. But then again, I ended up kind of doing that
Mm.
to a certain extent. So maybe guess you'll never be free of it as long as you like the art. There's some kind of parasocial kind of relationship is going to go on. But all I have to
Mm.
say is don't be like me or Dan. Always be more skeptical. That's always a good that's always
Always
a
Yeah.
be
good way to go.
skeptical.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I adhere to that, but even like a person like me is susceptible to it. So remain
Yeah.
skeptical. Remain
Mm.
skeptical. Mm,
Yeah. I mean, just overall I think before we close, I think
mm.
we learned a lot. We learned a lot in the past last year of
Yeah,
so
it
many
was a
things that
shitty year,
happened.
but we learned a lot from it.
Yeah, for me musically, I don't think it topped 2020.
No, I don't
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I think 2020 was better.
like there were more albums, I guess, but
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, like 2020 is a very hard year to top. There were so many great
Yeah.
albums.
Mm-hmm.
Same for this year, but not just as much as impact as 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so hopefully, this year, we can match what 2020 had to offer,
Mm.
and,
I hope so.
hopefully we
People are
can
going
look
to the
forward to the
military,
future. Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Well,
that's gonna
So
be a bit
good luck with
hard.
that. As a veteran.
You've already been through it.
Yeah, as a veteran. Yeah,
yeah.
that shit is not gonna fly, bro. That shit is gonna be tough.
Yeah, so, as we begin to slowly wrap up our show as usual, is there any artists or tracks that you're currently listening to and would like to share or recommend to our listeners?
Kundi Panda's last album, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
the
it yeah, The
the
Spoiled
spoiled
Child
child. Yeah.
is really somebody that I want to give props to this year. He's worked so hard. He's
Yeah.
released like
Mhm.
6 projects. He's been on fire. He's
Yeah.
been the man. Like literally,
Mm.
he's so glad to see that he had so many like quality project out because
Mhm.
none of them
Yeah.
I think has missed. Like
Mhm.
everything
Yeah.
was really good. And I know
Mm.
that you guys like Modem better, but The Spoiled Child was my shit.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's got a song in
Can't go
there
wrong.
that is short a video for called Ceci n'est pas une pipe, which is like the
Mm.
Mm.
French people would know. Obviously it's I can't even explain. I mean, the title is not what you think, guys. If you're into art, you probably know that it's like it's an
What
homage to a painting by Magritte,
yeah, yeah.
but
What
there is
was
another
the
meaning to that um,
what's
in
the
French.
track
So
number?
it's track number 3.
Ah, Matryoshika.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
He released a video
Mm.
about like the video is freaking
Yeah.
amazing. It needs more views to be honest. I really liked it. Like you can
Mhm.
see the artistry behind it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, French people do not take the title as it is.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
actually an homage to a painting. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's very nasty. So
Mm.
whatever. But yeah, listen to the album. It's a
Mm.
great album. Obviously, with the lyrics always because it's so like lyrically rich as
I
the man
mean, yeah,
himself.
he's a great
Um,
lyricist. He's such a
yeah,
great lyricist. He's a fucking
excellent
poet.
lyricist. Exactly. I wouldn't even begin to understand the entirety of his lyrics because I'm not Korean.
Mm.
But I don't know, like in the way he raps, like he says, like in the way he raps and stuff, you
Mm.
feel it. Like
Mm.
it's so like consistent. It's so rich
Mm.
just by listening to it. But yeah, you need the lyrics because this
Mm.
guy, like, you need to understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kundi Panda's last album and the title track, Ceci n'est pas une pipe.
For me, I went with FANA, and
Mm.
the song is called German Nation. It's track number 11, and it's off
Yeah.
of his brand new album
Mm.
Fanatic 2, which is the
Mm.
highly anticipated sequel from Fanatic 1,
Yeah.
which was released in 2009.
Mm.
And dude, it's this song definitely reminds me of what Boldy James and the Alchemist have been producing. Just this
Yeah.
very
Yeah, I get
dusty,
what you mean. Yeah.
dusty, kind of like this boom bap kind of trap delivery, but
Mm.
also at the same time very like heavily, you know, subjects that are
Mm.
on hand. But with Fana, I as a Korean, I sometimes don't even understand because I feel like his wordplay is just too complex, and sometimes I don't even know what he's trying to
Yeah.
get at. And so, but overall, sonically, the song is just it's like pure hip hop. It's definitely up Fana's alley, and the
Mm.
album as a whole is executive produced by the Quiet,
Mm.
Mm.
um, and also Prima Vista also helped out in that department as well. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, German Nation is definitely a quintessential kind of boom bap, kind of with like a trap flow delivery, and it
Mm.
definitely reminds me of Boldy James and the Alchemist type style.
Like, yeah, I mean, um, granted, like to fully appreciate fauna, you'll have to have extensive
Yeah,
like Korean proficiency. But
yeah.
Mm.
hey, like it's still, I think it will still resonate to like more classic hip hop fans. So definitely yes. Okay, for my case, as much as like it wasn't like star studded this year, there were a lot of good projects still. I will have to go with. Locals Only by J-Ho.
Ooh.
Oh yes.
Since
Ooh.
You bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back.
Yeah, since I already talked about SOS from Zokodomo, I think Locals Only deserves a mention. There's a
Mm,
song called "Oh Darling," which is the first track.
That's freaking good track.
The very interesting part of that track is that it is very trap drums. Like
Yeah.
the it's constructed around trap drums, but it feels so earthy. It feels
Yeah.
so acoustic.
mm,
It's like someone is playing those trap drums. You'll get it
Mhm.
when I listen to it. Like it's a very when it comes to aesthetics, it's very nature friendly, I think.
mm.
That's what I was gonna say, it's
Yeah,
nature
Obviously.
friendly, yeah.
it's mixed immaculately. Like
Yeah.
the sonics of it is just so amazing. It really immerses you in some sort of like savannah like setting or like a retreat into the woods kind of thing. Like
Yes.
I know it sounds a little bit stupid saying this because it's so outlandish, but it's like Bon Iver hip hop
It's
version.
true. It's
Like
true,
No.
though.
yeah, it's that immersive. So that kind of shocked me because as much as like Legit Goons as a collective is known for like a very boundary pushing acoustic music, this was over that. This wasn't
Mm.
just acoustic. This was really immersive to that kind of naturistic um, impression. So it's a very unique listen. I don't think there's another album quite like this, especially
No.
in Korean hip hop.
Mm,
Mhm.
Um, I already talked about this, but shout out to Najamsu who mixed this.
Yeah.
This was immaculate mixing and mastering as well, and of course J Ho, who kind of has a very laid back melodical take, but still doesn't go too hazy or
Mhm.
derivative. Shout out to all the sessions that were involved, like the arrangements, lyricism, concept, everything was great. Truly the album of a fisher man.
Yeah.
This is like fisherman trap. So
makes you want to fish if you don't do that.
yeah, it's really nature friendly trap or something. So it's a very unique listen. In case someone have missed it, I mentioned this album already, but this really deserves top 5 placement, at least top 3 placement of this year. So
Mm, yeah.
go ahead and listen to it. If you don't, it's your loss.
Yeah, well, that's all the time we have for today, but please do comment and let us know what event you thought stood out the most last year. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please go and subscribe to our podcast on all platforms and please give us that 5-star rating. If you want more K hip hop contents, go check out Daytona's Instagram at MYK_Daytona for K hip hop album reviews and also follow our social media page at Seoul_Therapy. Thank you guys so much again and see you guys next time. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.